Sabbath, everybody. I asked for y'all's continued prayers last night when I was began to finish tying up my sermon. I got cold chills, and then I shivered all night long till about 2 in the morning, and then I just had a ridiculous fever. Then this morning on the way to church, somebody actually rode on my side of the 2-lane road, and I had to dive off into a driveway and into somebody's yard. I called a pastor friend of mine and said last night that they went over the same scripture. But funny enough, that same pastor friend of mine had a night where they couldn't sleep. So I stand here in front of you today literally as a miracle of God. But at the same time, apparently whatever the Lord is doing in this season of time, Satan wants to make sure that it doesn't happen. So I'm going to move a bit less, but for whatever reason, if you're here, whoever it is, the sermon Satan tried to stop this word from getting to you. So I ask for your prayers, and I ask for your help, and maybe I'll be the moment of Jacob soon enough. If you could open your Bibles with me to Genesis chapter 25. Genesis 25. I want to begin with verse 22. Genesis 25. Scroll on down to verse 22. Genesis chapter 25. Start with verse 22. The Bible reads like this. It says, but the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it is so, why then am I this way? So she went to inquire of the Lord. And he said to her, there are two nations that are in your womb, and two peoples will be separated from your body. And one people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. The Bible says in verse 24, it says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And now the first came forth, his color was red, and all over like a hairy garment. And they named him Esau. And afterwards his brother came forth with his hand holding on to Esau's heel. And so his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old. And when she gave birth to them, verse 27, when the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a peaceful man, living in tents. Now, Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste for game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And when Jacob had cooked stew, Esau came in from the field, and he was famished. And Esau and said to Jacob, please let me have a swallow of the red stuff there, for I am famished. And therefore his name was called Edom, which means red. But Jacob said, first sell me your birthright. Verse 32, Esau said, behold, I am about to die. So of what use then is the birthright to me? Jacob said, first swear to me. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Verse 34, it says, and then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew. And he ate and drank and rose and went on his way. Thus Esau now despises his birthright. Let us pray. Father God, I stretch forth my hands. Lord, there is no other help out there. Lord, if you will draw your hands from me, Lord, where shall I go? Thank you, Lord, for sparing my life. And God, we thank you, Father, for giving us this word this morning. May we be able to find where we fit. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. You may be seated. Isaac is the child that was placed on the altar to be slain, and the Lord provided a ram at the thicket. The fact that he is still alive is a miracle in and of itself. Because if the word of the Lord would have it be so, then the original phrase that was said, Isaac would have been dead. But because the Lord wanted to prove the faithfulness of Abraham, he still finds himself alive. Notice what happens. Isaac marries his wife at the age of 40. His wife, according to the scripture, is barren for 20 years. She can't give birth. Time and time again, they come together. Time and time again, no fruit. Brings an awkward point, doesn't it? Once again, how so many places in the Bible there are men and women that are built to represent God's people, built to represent God's generations. Yet the same people find themselves participating in godly acts, and yet they still find themselves not producing the fruit that they were promised to do. Brings an awkward notion to it, doesn't it? That God wants us oftentimes to struggle time and time again, or be consistent in the work in which we started. That when we give birth to something, that finally not only will we appreciate it, but better yet, it will also be something that we will take care of. Let me say that differently. Maybe it's possible that a lot of us feel the calling on our lives that God has given us to do a specific thing. Here lately we've been trying time and time again, but yet it feels like life has failed us, and as a result, because of its failures, we become discontent with the situation. But I would like to propose to you today that Isaac did something that even his wife Rebecca didn't have the wisdom to do. Isaac knows that if he just prays to the Lord, that the Lord will hear his prayer and that he will answer. And so when Isaac prays, notice what happens. Isaac then has a child to be conceived by his wife. But notice this, it's not one, it's two. Notice what happens in the text. Immediately after that, the woman feels a struggle happening on the inside of her. And you've got to imagine how it feels sometimes that she has been trying from time and time again to get pregnant, time and time again to be the wife that she promised to be to her husband, time and time again to live out the promise to her father-in-law. Hopefully it would be lived out through her and her husband. Time and time again, this woman has put herself in a position, and time again it has failed. And finally, when she gets in the position to be able to prove herself, there seems to be a struggle happening within her. Want to ask you a question? Have you ever known what the Lord has called you to do? Ever been in a position where you fought to do that which you know God has asked you to do? Tried time and time again. And after every time, it seems to fail. And you almost got to the point at which you were willing to give up. And just in the nick of time, God finally allows it to happen. And you figured that after your time of struggle, that finally, after all the patience you expressed and all the dedication you have exuded, all the times that you have shown that you won't give up on God because God hasn't given up on you. And you keep pushing, and you keep trying, and you keep giving, and you keep taking, and you keep buttoning your lip, and you keep holding your peace, and you finally got the reward, and that not which so much you wanted, but more importantly, that he wanted for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesus.
And notice what the extent of this becomes. Now, in the presence of this, there seems to be a struggle on the inside. I don't know about you, but after so many bad things happen to me, sometimes I just expect more bad things to happen.
All right.
Okay, y'all. Yeah, all right, that's cool. I'm just going to be fair. After I've had too many failures, I just expect that this moment of good fortune only is to lead me to the next stage of failure. And notice this woman, she says it just like she feels it. She says to the Lord, why is this struggle happening within me? It's easier to fight something when it's outside you, isn't it? Easy to fight the things outside you, but it's more difficult to fight the things inside you. Easy to fight people at work who got the same habits, do the same inconsiderate things. Hard to fight the same habits in you. Okay. See if I can say that differently. Easy to notice someone never opening the door. Easy to notice the young man in the house that leaves the toilet seat up. Hold on, somebody. Easy to notice. The person that knows you got to leave for work first, but they park their car behind you, you can't get out. These things are easy to notice. And these things are easy to critique. Easy to fix the things on the outside, but isn't it extremely difficult to address the things on the inside?
Yeah.
I don't want to go down your lane, but isn't it easier to fix the things outside of you than it is to fix the things on the inside? And notice what happens in this text. This woman is so used to expecting failure that when she has inside of her God's answer to prayer and his blessings, notice what she does. She says in the text, why is the struggle happening within me? Notice what she does. The Lord then turns to her and says, there are two peoples, two nations that will be separated, that are living within you. And the two nations that are inside of you are going to go two different directions. One will be stronger than the other. But notice what it says. It says the older one will serve the younger one. Want to ask you a question? Have you ever had a moment where you felt like there was a war going on inside of you? You felt like one side was stronger than the other? No matter how much you knew of what to do right seemed to be weaker than do wrong. And notice what happens with do wrong. Do wrong in the text is actually stronger than do right. Okay?
All right.
Say that differently. No, don't need no amens. I'm just going to make sure you got it. Do wrong not only seems to be living inside of you longer than do right, but better yet, do wrong is supposed to serve do right.
Yes.
Notice what happens in the Bible. I'm going to make it very plain, very simple. Notice what happens in this text. So the woman gives birth to the two children. But notice what happens in the text before she gets there. She allows their problem inside of her to be associated with her own self-worth.
All right.
Okay, let me see if I can say that differently. She says, the Bible says that there's a struggle going on the inside.
Yeah.
But if the issue be told, the woman actually assumes that the struggle is actually her. Okay, let me read that so people don't feel like I'm grasping for straws to make a good sermon. Notice what the Bible says. It says, but the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it is so, why then am I this way?
Amen.
Notice what happens. The struggle inside of her is happening between two people, but unfortunately she takes on the identity of the struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me say it this way. The Lord showed me something this way, earlier this week. I was eavesdropping on somebody's live video. I think it's going to bless you. Hopefully it blesses you the way it blesses me. Watch this. Most of the times in life, we have moments where we experience failure.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's not really failure. It's just a desired result that we really didn't want. But let's assume for a moment that in this life you actually did something wrong. Because we know you good Christians. And you always follow the voice of the Lord. But let's assume for a moment that in this time that you actually did something wrong. Now, in this wrongness of what you've done, you have experienced failure. And the number one problem of the Christian is not so much that we experience failure, but unintentionally in the moment of getting a desired result at which we did not want, we don't just experience failure, we unintentionally choose to take on the identity of failure. In school, take a test, whether you studied for it or you didn't. If you fail, Rather than saying, I failed the test, sometimes we take on the identity and say, I am a failure. Huh? Truth is, you aren't a failure. You experienced failure. Let me say it differently. Other way to say this is, likewise, if you had a couple of moments in life and you actually did what was right, you were successful. Right? Yeah. No one walks around saying, I am success. Because all of us know that success is least. Huh? Not all. Okay, let me see if I can say that differently. In other words, success is something that you have to continually work at. Because at no extent and point in life will you just own success by doing nothing. All right. Okay, so let me bring this all the way back around. In other words, we oftentimes have to learn to have a least experience with sometimes the mistakes of our lives. That yes, it happened. But not like this woman, identify yourself with the internal struggle that I am constantly a struggle. Let me help you out. Forgive yourself of the mistake you already made. All right. It already happened. It's already over. It's already done. There's nothing else that you can do about what's done. And think about it. Even if there was something you could do, it's already gone. Just get over it. I know that sounds insensitive. And maybe it's because I was raised up by an ash-knuckled mother. But the reality of it is, spilt milk is spilt milk. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Especially when you're vegan. I'm just playing. But notice this. The woman takes on the struggle between two people and she associates it with herself when the truth is it's their problem. Yeah. Not hers. So notice when birth is given, notice the internal struggle that happens. When birth is given, they are fighting until the first day they have blood in their bodies. Until the first day they took their first breath. All right. Here it is. Notice this. Some of the drama in your life that you got caught up in wasn't really even caused by you.
Amen.
Some of this drama has been incubating inside of some places, inside of some people, inside of some context, that literally when you showed up, you were nothing more than a vehicle for them to harvest. It wasn't necessarily you that had the issue. It was somebody else that had an issue. And the only thing that you unintentionally were was a pod to carry their drama on. Amen. Because it lived before you existed. Yeah. Now watch this. Because this is the struggle that happens when you associate yourself with the war that you are carrying, though it's not the war you created. Notice what happens. The woman gives birth to 2 children, and while one child is coming out, the other child is holding on to its heel. And notice what happens. The first thing that comes out of the people's mouths is that the baby is red and it has shaggy hair like a carpet. And notice what they do. They call the child based upon what they see.
All right.
But that's the first kid. The second kid, they call him based upon what he could be. Y'all missed it. Let me say it differently. The first part of the text is they make an analysis on him based upon what they see about him. The second text, the second child that comes out, they look at him and the name is a description of the gift of God that he will be. Okay, let me see if I can say this differently. Because notice the first kid that is named is the stronger one and the older one, but he is designed to serve the younger one. Okay, you missed it. In other words, notice what happens in this text. The Bible's letting us know that in here, this first child is being associated not with what he could be, only with what people can see. Here it is. Oftentimes people and you sometimes look at yourself and you analyze yourself based upon what you can see, and it never comes up about what you can be.
That's right.
Huh? Okay. Let me say it this way. A lot of you have begun to open up and walk into ventures of which God has called you into. And you know for a fact that you ain't perfect, because maybe just like this woman, you done struggled almost for some 20-odd somethings trying to get into the position that God has called you to. And every time that it seems like you get close, or every time it seems like you get a little bit further, something stops you from the direction in which you're supposed to be going. And every single time it gets more difficult and more promising. You get closer, but you have a miscarriage. You get closer, but you have a stillbirth. You get closer, but you have so many things happen. And when people keep seeing all the things that get in your way, they don't see you for what you could be. They see you for what they think you are. And notice in the text, rather than projecting what it could be, he accepts the fact or acknowledges the fact of what they see. It's an unbecomingly red ball of fluff.
Yes. Amen.
And rather than it being something that's substantial, the only way that we really identify it is not by its ability to be birthed by itself, but by hopefully the blessing that hangs on to the heel.
Amen.
Now watch what happens. This boy is continually named based upon what they see, not based upon what he could be.
All right.
So insignificant is their titling and expectation of Esau that they feel that they can change his name based upon when he wants a bowl of soup. And I can only imagine when you read on in the text that it says Jacob loved Esau, but Isaac loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Here's the awkward part about this text. The awkward part is it brings a slight bit of understanding to why I empathize for Esau. The firstborn is supposed to be the hope of the nation and the family. The firstborn is supposed to be the one that stands on the behalf of his mother and his father. And he's supposed to make them proud. He's supposed to carry on the family business. The firstborn is supposed to have the inheritance. Every aspect of the potential of the mother and the father that is good is supposed to now be trained and birthed through the first son. But notice, because he's got a daddy's love without a mother's nurture, how the projection of what is supposed to be nurtured and expected through him is so easily changed because of the lack of level of significance that is intentionally placed on his existence.
Yeah.
Notice this. only places in the Bible where you have seen someone's name change is by their own acknowledgement and relationship with God, or by God's acknowledgement of their relationship with Him.
Yeah.
Okay, you missed it. Jacob's name changed to Israel because he wrestled with the Lord. Abram's name changed to Abraham because he was faithful unto the Lord. Paul's name was once Saul because he had a relationship with the Lord. Notice Peter's name changed to Peter once he had a relationship with the Lord. Thus far, I could be wrong, but this is the only spot in the Bible where people change the person's name without a relationship with God.
All right.
Nothing was expected of him. Nothing was treasured of him. They only expected him to do what he was made to do, but no one poured into him according to the scripture because they only saw him from what they thought he was worth.
All right.
First his name was Shaggy Red. Now his name is Red Suit. And I empathize with Esau because it's one thing to have a father's fight, but it's another thing to have a mother's love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do not look so harshly at Esau when I see how the lack of nurturing hasn't happened to where he acts dramatically to a substantival moment. Let me say that differently. I do not feel derogatory about Esau when he doesn't know that his next meal is coming, when he doesn't expect his next meal to come from his mother. Notice in the text, Esau is famished from hunting. But notice in the text, he only asked for a swallow. Okay. Maybe I missed that. Okay. So, as a young man, okay, I learned that sometimes to get out, you got to put in so that you can get out.
All right. All
Let me
right.
say that differently. I personally am, you wouldn't notice today, but back when I was younger, I used to study horribly. I used to look at people and think, man, they're so smart. And I used to try to sometimes mimic the study habits that I thought I saw them doing without actually practicing the study habits that I actually knew they were doing. In other words, when I had friends, I used to see them read a book with a highlighter. They highlight a couple of words, they make a star by a couple of words, they underline a couple of sentences, and then somehow or another they got A's. So I naturally assumed that for me to get an A, that I had to open a textbook, highlight a couple of words. Y'all get it?
All right. All right.
Oh, y'all so disrespectful. Star a couple of words, remember a couple of sentences, and then I was going to have all the tools of what it took to get an A just like them. Shoot, I even took their textbook, highlighted all the same words, starred all the same sentences, underlined all the same phrases. Shoot, I even went through the back of the textbook where you know it's got the end of the chapter questions. I even answered those with my highlighted phrases, my starred words, and my underlined sentences. Because I figured if I did what they did, that I would be able to get what they got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all missed it. But what I learned was it took more of putting into me. Because what I also discovered is I was studying for a test that wasn't going to happen. Because instead of just remembering the phrases, Instead of just remembering the key words, instead of just remembering the sentences, they gave options on tests when you get older. And essays to be explained. And there were parts of this where it had to fit together like a puzzle. And what I quickly learned is that if I didn't put enough in, I wouldn't be able to put enough out to get the right grade on a test.
Amen.
Okay, so here it goes.
Amen.
This man has been hunting in a field, and his expectation of nourishment is indicative of what has been given to him by his family when he expects a splash of food to make up enough substance to be a lifetime worth of supply for nothing. Notice, he sells a lifetime birthright for a splash of red soup.
Amen.
But because of the lack of nurturing and express experience with his mother, notice what happens. He's willing to give up a swallow for a lifetime of blessing. Notice his brother, because he knows how to cook, not only takes advantage of his brother, but he almost makes it look like he did him a solid. He asked him just for soup. He slid him a little bread. Now, here's the point, and I'm about finished. Don't feel it's hard about Esau, because if he had a mother that loved him as much as his father, he probably would have never given up his birthright. And there's some small egos in you, some small habits in you. Because notice I said the wife gave birth to two persons. And if we want to be honest, sometimes it feels like two persons are living inside of us.
Yeah. Amen.
Not saying you're psychotic. Well, some of y'all. Maybe there's some neurotic issues going on the inside. The truth is that there feels that there's two people fighting inside of you. And look, I don't really fault you. God doesn't really fault you.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank
For the first person that comes out. Because unfortunately, we are born in a sinful context. We're born to people that promised us stuff, didn't follow through. Born to people that said they would never leave us, they left us.
Amen.
Promised by others that they wouldn't do us like the others did us. And they didn't. They did us worse.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen.
The fact is, I can't fault you. Because I know in this text, it's from a lack of nourishment to the side of you that needed them the most. It's a side of you that needed to be loved a little bit different. A side of you that didn't need to be lied to. A side of you that didn't need to be left. You gave them all you had, and they left you with nothing. I know you've given your jobs. You've given some of your friends. Shoot, some of y'all even given the church everything that you had. And it feels like it left you with nothing worth having. And it caused us to sometimes have these moments where if we can be fair, we're just like Esau. We overreact. And we built some hard places and some callous places. And we overreacted to temporary suffering. This man's body would have been in the best of shape. He could have missed a meal.
Yes.
It was already designed to know how to function on less because of how in shape he was. He could take one breath and run way further than his brother could on two. But notice, because of the lack of nurturing, this young man suffered a birthright that he in the end regrets. But because he's taught to be so hard about life, rather than wishing and praying to God to get it back, he despises it instead. Notice what happens though. I said there were two people inside of you.
Yeah.
The second one, his name is the one who grabs the heel or the one who supplants. Now, I know that's a whole lot of words. But let me explain it to you. The Lord said that the second son will be served by the first son. It says the stronger son will serve the second son. In other words, the parts that have become so dark, deep, and ugly about you, that were caused by a lack of nourishment and love from somebody who was supposed to be there for you, like they promised, like they asked for. Notice in the text, the other side is actually supposed to serve your better side. And notice what it says. The child that had received the birthright is the successor to the first child who just gave him. Why do I say all this? There's some things you've been struggling with for a really long time. I don't know if it's people. I don't know if it's habits. I don't know if it's mindsets. I don't know if it's expectations. I don't know what the struggle is. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it got here. I don't know how it got in you. I don't know why. I don't know why none of this stuff is going on. What I do know is that all of this trouble was made to serve your real purpose. Notice, Jacob is the one that becomes Israel.
Yeah.
And Israel is the one that Jesus comes through. And Jesus is the one that saves the world.
Yeah.
So don't worry about how hard it was. Don't worry about how difficult it's been. Don't worry about all the things that felt like it happened to you to attach itself to you, to destroy you. God allowed for it to happen so that things would switch hands and that it would switch positions and that it would switch persons so that when the time comes, that no matter what you've already been through, it was designed to serve you so that the salvation of the world could come. So there was a purpose in the neglect. There's a purpose in the abuse. There's a purpose in the lies. There's a purpose in the mistreatment. There's a purpose in the struggle. There's a purpose in the pain. There's a purpose in the pressure. There's a purpose in the failure. There's been a purpose breathing. Keep surviving. Keep learning. Keep hoping. Keep holding. Keep changing. Keep growing. Because it was all meant to serve my success.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Everybody stand up on your feet right now. Dear Lord God,
Yes, Jehovah God, the great I am. Yes, the Holy Ghost. Your presence.
Lord, we don't know all the time why this road has been so difficult.
Yes, Lord Jesus.
God, you told us in your word today it was for success, God. If it hadn't been this hard, Lord, we wouldn't know how to get it this good. Lord, there was a reason why the lights had to get cut off, God. There was a reason why the car broke down, God. There was a reason why they divorced us, God. There was a reason why that person had to die, God. There was a reason why we had to get fired, God. There was a reason why that dismissal had to happen in our lives. But God, it was not designed for our demise. It was made to save us. So Lord, I don't understand it all. God, we don't have to. What we have to do is trust you through it all. Because God, you had a plan in it all. So God, I thank you for my struggles. God, I thank you for my trouble. God, I thank you for my pain. And God, I thank you because it was meant for my success. So Lord, in all things, continue to allow my ways to be prosperous. Continue to develop ways to bless me and not to harm me. Continue to know my ways from the foundation of the earth that you plan to walk. Continue to organize my pathways, make all my crooked ways straight. God, continue to work in creating me a clean heart, oh God, and an upright spirit, God, that I may worship you, God. Continue to allow me to know that I'm more than a conqueror in Christ Jesus. Continue to help me to know that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And God, allow for me to remember that nothing can separate me from the love of God. Not even me.
Thank you, Jehovah God.
Not even them. We thank you for these things. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.